NBC's Raf Sanchez has been on the scene all morning. He's in the southern part of Israel. Raf, what is the very latest there that you are seeing and hearing?
Kristen, we are now more than 10 hours into this unprecedented surprise attack by Palestinian militants from Gaza, and this chaotic and violent situation is still unfolding. I just want to give you a sense of the geography. We are about 6 miles from the Israeli border with Gaza now. You can probably see behind me, Israeli forces have closed what is normally one of the major highways in southern Israel. On the other side of this checkpoint, Kristen, is the Israeli town of Sderot. It is one of the major Israeli communities close to the Gaza border. I just got off the phone with an Israeli security official who tells me that fighting in Sderot, as well as several other towns and cities and communities along the Gaza border, is still underway. Kristen, that is a sentence that if you had asked me yesterday, I would not have told you was plausible. The idea that Palestinian gunmen are inside of Israeli communities is what has taken this country so by surprise, and it is the method and the level of sophistication with which they have carried out this attack. As you said, Palestinian gunmen arriving by land, by sea, and for the first time by air, using paragliders and hang gliders to cross the Israeli border. They did it, Kristen, under the cover of a barrage of some 2,000 rockets, which seems to have overwhelmed Israel's absolutely cutting-edge, world-leading missile defense systems. Throughout the day, we have seen plumes of black smoke where these Palestinian rockets have got through Israeli defenses and they have struck home. I want to give you just the very latest numbers that we have. Israel's emergency services are saying 70 people are confirmed dead inside of Israel. That is one of the largest losses of life on a single day in decades here. Some 800 Israelis are wounded. And Kristen, inside of Gaza, where Israeli airstrikes have now begun, the Palestinian Health Ministry is saying 200 people have been killed already, 1,600 wounded. Kristen, I'll just close with saying that perhaps the most important dynamic here, the key to understanding what comes next, is the fact that Hamas and the smaller militant group Islamic Jihad say they have Israelis captive inside of Gaza, and the whole world is now watching to see what Israel will do next to get its people home. Kristen.
And Raf, as you describe that chaotic and devastating scene there that is unfolding all around you, let me follow up with you on that very question, because Prime Minister Netanyahu is saying Israel is in a state of war. So what does that mean potentially in terms of next steps that we might see by Israel?
Yeah, so the Prime Minister was very clear with the Israeli people. What is happening right now is an order of magnitude above and beyond the rounds of fighting we have seen between Israel and Hamas over the last decade. Rounds of fighting which, frankly, the world has become a little bit numb to. This is a full-scale war. This is unlike anything Israel has seen in 50 years. And it may very well be that Prime Minister Netanyahu, the head of this extreme right-wing government here in Israel, feels that he has no choice, knowing that there are Israelis held captive, held hostage inside of Gaza. He may feel he has no choice but to order a large-scale ground offensive inside of Gaza. And Kristen, as we know, Gaza is one of the most densely populated places on earth. There are 2 million civilians in there, as well as these Palestinian militant groups. There is nowhere to run. There is nowhere to hide. And if the fighting goes to the heart of Gaza City, Khan Yunis, these other population centers, we are looking at potentially devastating casualties in the days ahead. Kristen.
There's no doubt about that. As you were talking, we were watching some video of someone who appeared to be taken captive. We just got this reporting from Andrea Mitchell at the State Department that Blinken, the Secretary of State, is at the White House right now attending meetings, calling foreign counterparts about this situation. That is according to State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller. And just talk about the timing of this, Raf. This is coming on the 50th anniversary of the Yom Kippur War, when Israel suffered a surprise attack 50 years ago.
Yeah, Kristen, the symbolism of this is just so striking. 50 years, almost to the day, since the Yom Kippur War, when Israel was last caught off guard by a combined Egyptian-Syrian invasion. That was a war where in its first 72 hours or so, people genuinely thought that this country might be about to be wiped off the map. There's no question that these Palestinian gunmen are going to be able to destroy the state of Israel, but they have certainly destroyed, shattered Israel's sense of security, Israel's sense that the problems inside Gaza could be contained, that they could be kept on the other side of the border. This is a failure of intelligence, it would seem, on a massive scale, that Israel was caught off guard once again at the end of a religious holiday. We're at the end of the week-long period of Sukkot. Kristen, you may be able to hear Israeli air defenses going off in the distance. There are still rockets coming from Gaza into Israel. There are still Israeli jets flying over. There's no sirens going off in this area right now, so we're okay to keep talking to you. But it appears that Israel caught off guard, whether this is a failure of intelligence, whether this is a failure of imagination, to think that Palestinian gunmen could take paragliders to fly into Israeli communities, attack homes, take people hostage, and carry them into Gaza. There are a lot of very difficult questions in the days ahead for Israel's security officials. But, Kristen, I can tell you their absolute top priority right now is what is going on down the road from me, where they are fighting street by street, house by house, trying to retake control of these Israeli communities from these Palestinian militants.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.